South Africa, welcome back to Squatter Camp Podcast and all the people around the world, around Africa, around the whole continent, around everywhere around the world. I really appreciate everyone who is watching my content and all the subscribers. I'm really grateful. I'm very much grateful to have you squatters in my community. Now, I've recently watched the interview of Mark Oppenheimer. Mark Oppenheimer is an advocate. Famously, the advocate was involved in Julius Malema's hate speech case, which the court never found anything against what he has done, and we cannot argue with the court. The court has made a decision. Now there's a campaign of these rich white Afrikaners to actually attack Julius Malema and get him to be registered as an international criminal, and probably they are planning for him to be arrested, to be tortured, to be, I don't know, whatever, but they want to destroy Julius Malema. And from that point of view, this opens our eyes as black child, Azanian children, that there's as much as I have indicated, there's a sort of attack towards anyone who's fighting for the rights of black South Africans. Mark Oppenheimer took an interview which was partial by Ayaan. So, I was expecting Ayaan to ask very important questions. 3 questions which are the most basic questions that would actually have summed up the whole interview. He should have asked Mark Oppenheimer if he is racist, if he loves black people, if he is willing to stay with black people in the neighborhood, in his neighborhood. Those are the questions that when someone responds, you can actually see whether they are racist or they are not racist. Because there's a war of these people from this ethnic group who are fighting and constantly campaigning for Julius Malema to be registered as an international criminal, probably America. Maybe they are planning to get him to that, the Elon Musk and the Donald Trumps and all of that. So this is so sad, because an attack to Julius Malema is an attack to all the black South Africans. Now, as much as they have mentioned all the racism and Afrikaners being attacked and all of that, I want to raise this concerns that they should at least, acknowledge that South Africa is the most unequal society in the whole world. It's a fact. And these white folks, they are saying nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. They don't want to talk about it. Another thing is that racism is still the order of the day. They're saying nothing about it. White Afrikaners kill black people and feed them to pigs. No one is saying anything about it. White Afrikaners beat up black people and put them inside the coffins alive. No one is saying anything about it. Helen Zille referred to the EFF and MKP party as dogs in KZN. No one said anything about it. No transformation at all. Senior positions in companies are still reserved for white people. No one is saying anything about it. Black people were dispossessed of land and there has never been reparations. No one is saying anything about it. White people still believe apartheid government was right. No one corrects them. They are fine. They are correct, and that's how they feel. There's white people who still calls black people kafirs in 2025. No one is saying anything about it. White people still pay black people slave salary below minimum wage. No one is saying anything about it. No one is talking about it. They are saying nothing about it. 8% of our population, the white population, still owns the means of economy. No one says anything about it. More black people are still marginalized and live below the poverty line. It's a fact. No one says anything about it. Black people continue to die in squatter camps on a daily basis. They are concerned about white life, but black life doesn't matter. So, if you look at all those things, white people, white Afrikaners to be specific, are still against the land expropriation bill. So, we are sitting with people who don't want black people to be treated as human. It is so sad because as much as they still continue to feel that they are still entitled, that's when we are slowly heading towards a revolution. I've said this many times that we don't want to get to that point. But, this campaign thing of Ernst, Roets, Mark Oppenheimer, Elon Musk, Donald Trump saying horrible things are happening in South Africa and all of that, we're going to have to eventually get there. Black people at some point will be tired and they will push it to that. Because when you get frustrated, you want, what you deserve, what you're entitled for, which is the land, that we need the land back. As black people, we need the land. It's a fact. And this whole campaign started to be strong now because they can see that we are pushing for the land expropriation. The land must be expropriated, and they don't want that. Now, if you don't want to share something that you have stolen many, many, many years ago, what do you mean? Must the owner come and take what belongs to them? Because it's a favor for black people to say, let us share the land that you stole from us. I mean, you're asking for what belongs to you, and you still want to share. Your car was stolen many years ago, and you still want to share with a thief that, listen, I'll use this car on this particular days, and I'm going to borrow it back to you on this particular days. They still refuse. Someone who stole your car, and they still drive around with your car, and you don't have a car. You remain without a car. You can't mobilize. You can't run your errands and all of that. So I'm asking myself this question. This land expropriation bill and the land question and the land issue, whatever that is surrounding the land, as white Afrikaners are constantly resistant, how are they expecting us to resolve this problem? Because this problem, we might take it for granted now, but it's one of the most critical things that if we don't pay attention to, it will cause war. It will cause anger, frustration, and everything. And by the way, I want to address the issue of white Afrikaners being attacked at the farms. White Afrikaners, they hire illegal immigrants with no documentation. They let them work for the whole month or even for 6. Some of them, they work for 6 months, up to 6 months without payment. And when they want to be paid, that time when they become frustrated and they need their payment, and then they get to be fired. They chase them out of their farmers. And the same people, because they were working there, they know what is going on there. They go there and attack the farm owners in a form of retaliation. Those are the things that the Elon Musks and the Donald Trumps and all those people who are making a lot of noise, they don't pay attention to those people. And as South Africans, we don't hate on white people, but we are banning here that the racism issue must be addressed, transformation must be there, land must be expropriated, there must be some sort of reparation. So someone who doesn't want you to get what is due to you so you can live a better life, the same as them, it's quite questionable that it means they want you to stay in poverty and remain in squatter camps and stay in slums, and so that you are always regarded as a second-class citizens. We as Black South Africans, we live as second-class citizens in our own country. We don't own anything. The economic means are still owned by white people. The companies which are registered with the JSE are still belonging to white people. If you see a company having a black person as a director, that is just for compliance. that is just for status quo, that they just want to comply so that, it's business as usual. They can still move on. They will hire one person out of 100 and make him a director. The rest are laborers. So all these kinds of things, there are positions which are still, to this day, from big companies, are reserved for white people, not for black people. If you're black, you want to be a manager, you want to be a director, you want to be an executive or whatever, no matter your qualifications, you'll never get there. So these are the things that we are so much concerned about, and we try to address them politely, so without any issues. Now, in the midst of everything, we have the ANC criminals here. People who sold us during the CODESA negotiations there. They took a raw deal. Okay, it's fine. After taking the raw deal, they don't correct their mistake. They continue to maintain the status quo. They continue to keep the economic means to the white people. Black people suffer today not because they are not capable. It's because of their denied opportunities. And these ANC criminals, who are just house Negroes to their masters, they eat from the crumbs left by their masters. What about the field Negroes? Who are they in the field, on the sun, burnt by the sun? When it's rainy, everything, they face all the weather condition. So, majority of black South Africans, they are still facing those circumstances. How are we going to address this? Must we continue to be poor for the rest of our lives? Our kids should be poor, our grandkids should be poor, and we must just keep quiet and behave like it's business as usual. How must we? Because this thing it's a burning issue, and to every average South African. By the way, some of our brothers and sisters, they end up going to drugs, resorting to crime and all of that because of frustration. They don't know actually, and it takes someone with a deeper research and someone who's very observant to see that no. The problem here is this lack of transformation. We are pushed out of the mainstream economy. We can't participate. Black people can't run successful businesses because they are being oppressed. There's unfair competition and all of that. And our government, they continue to ignore this because they are sitting there, they are comfortable, they are shareholders in many white-owned companies and all of that. To be a shareholder, you'll never own that mine. You're just a shareholder receiving a salary. What about the rest of the people here? So those are the concerns that I was really expecting Ayaan to address with Mark Oppenheimer. But no. The interview was just based on bad-mouthing and labeling black people as antagonists, as people who are, who are very violent, and all that they can think of is violence. We don't want to get there. Yes, I can agree. I'm black, and I can agree that black people can be violent if they want to. The same as apartheid government was violent, was very brutal to black people because they wanted to be. Anyone can be heartless. They've got a potential. They've got that part that is hidden from them that can be, if that part is unleashed, can be very malicious. So we need to resolve this issue amicably so. But now we are not going to take any compromises. We are not going to be taken for a ride. And as much as we can see that now the campaign is about taking Julius Malema down, to crush him. They want to destroy Julius Malema. This is a fact. And I'm just praying that the fighters, they must be strong. The economic freedom fighters, they must be strong, because at this stage, he's the biggest threat of the Western countries and also this white Afrikaaners. He is. Cyril Ramaphosa is not a threat to them. They can twist and turn, and they know his scandals, they know his weaknesses and all of that, Pala, Marikana issue, CR17, they can take him down anytime they want to. But for Julius Malema, because this is the guy who's actually fighting for the rights of all South Africans. And if he really what he's saying, and I understand, by the way, his frustration. I understand his frustration. And if he was someone, he could be sitting there in Limpopo or sitting there in Sandton, in Hyde Park at his house, having some dinner with his family and all of that. But he continues to fight, consistently so. So I think we need to protect that man. I think we need to open our eyes and ears and have all our intelligence on the ground that, listen, nothing should happen to this man. And he should also take care of himself, because this is a war which is being waged against him because of wanting the Afrikaners to return the land. This is the main issue that is actually causing these white Afrikaners to be unstable, not to sleep, to take interviews and to grab the international attention of the international community. So this is a concern that we really need to pay attention to. And also with the tools that we have, us, just to also spread our own messages, to spread our side of the story. Because if someone is telling one side of the story, everyone will happen now to wake up the next day to believe that Julius Malema is a monster, Julius Malema is this demon, therefore he must be arrested, he must be regarded as an international criminal. We know for the fact that at some point, the Mandela that went to prison, he was once also registered with the terrorist, on the red list as a terrorist. Internationally, he was not supposed to travel and all of that. That is the strategy that they are using to oppress black people so that we don't voice our concerns. Squatters, I'm very much concerned about this issue. I just happen to, to say, listen, let's engage. Every interview that they take, let's engage and give the side of our story. I've mentioned many things that they will never mention. All those things in the beginning of this episode that I have mentioned, they will never mention, because they know that those are the things that they are not favorable to them. They are favorable to us, and therefore they don't want the universe to see or to know about those things. So the videos are there. It's public that white Afrikaners will take black man and put him in a coffin when he's still alive, and telling him that they're gonna slaughter him and all of that. So let's engage on this issue. And we're not fighting. We're not saying there must be war or we hate on other ethnic groups and all of that. I want to understand, is this how we must live our life, to be subjected to this? I'll hear from you, squatters. Thank you to the people who watch my content. Thank you to the new subscribers. Please continue to subscribe. Click that notification bell when I drop the content. You happen to be the first to get it fresh. Thank you, Sebo.